founded 1876.
Do you want the short story or the long one? Oh, the short story? Well, Jerome was founded in 1876 and it was populated because there was lots of copper here. So copper was mined until it became uneconomical, and then the town was deserted. And for many, many years, this was the short end, wasn't it? The short story. Yeah, anyway, long time. No one lived here, and then all of a sudden people started moving in, and it was artists and the like. Now the town has about 500 people living here. I think at its height it had about 10,000 people, and that was about 1910, something like that, or 1920, and then it declined, and now there's just 500 people living here. So we're going to go have a look. This looks like some of the old machinery that would have been left over from the copper mining. I'm not sure if these buildings probably date back 70, 80, 100 years, who knows. The other thing I should mention is that Jerome is nestled up in the mountains of, I suppose it's northern Arizona, yeah, at an elevation of about 5,000 feet. I like visiting these sort of places, knowing that it was deserted and left for dead, and now that there are people living here. I wonder whether that's one of the reasons why I like fixing up old stuff that's broken, and nobody wants it anymore, it's going to be thrown out, and then you put a lease of life back into it by repairing it. I suppose this town's a bit like that, really. It does look like an old Victorian house up there. This is it. We're entering Jerome. Oh, really bumpy, isn't it? Hang on a minute, I think my zoom's on. There you go, that's a bit less bumpy, isn't it? We're entering Jerome from the fire department end. This is an interesting looking restaurant. Oh, it's not a restaurant, it's shops. Oh, Nellie Bly too. She used to walk these streets in her nightie. Made up story. No idea who she is. The museum's pretty cool if you've got the time to look round. They had already closed, but allows us to have a quick run through. So these are some of the old workers. So when that must have been just about the turn of the century. Hello, how are you? Looks almost alive, doesn't it? This is the dungeon of death. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is like going down in the mine. You're kidding, they went in that thing. Can't even see it with the camera. So the deepest single shaft in Jerome drops half a mile. And this cage thing, forget that. I'd rather wash cars for a living. All the different ores that they would have got out of the ground. Of course, they did copper here. That was their number one thing. The ambulance car, if you hurt yourself, then you get pulled back up in one of those bad boys. Good to know they thought about your safety. So the building that we're in was called the Fashion. I think it was built in 1890 something. It was called the leading sporting house in all of northern Arizona because they sold 150 kegs of beer in 17 days. And for us Brits, a sporting house basically means a pub or thereabouts. This is the old Bartlett Hotel. It used to be called the Grandview Hotel. It was the first two-story building in Jerome, got burned down and then was rebuilt as a brick building. Initially it was wood. So if I'm not wrong, it was in the... you know what, I haven't really got a clue. Anyway, the place was deserted and then people started moving into odd buildings here and there and then making it their home.
Did you get some lusty hamburgers in there?
That looks like a little steam engine, I would guess, of some kind. Goodness knows not what that is. That's an old blast furnace from the copper mines. I know that because it says it on there. That looks like an old bogey or whatever you call it, a coal thing. You'd bring the stuff up out of the mine. Old building on the hill. Haskins Arts, it says up there. Vaqueros. That looks nice in there. So you've got some galleries and then just other old buildings and some shops selling all kinds of stuff like walking sticks and glasses and, you know, kind of arty stuff. I'm sure some of it's good. We haven't got a great deal of time to be here really, so it's a bit of a flying visit for us. Resale? Ooh. Cool old V-dub. Haunted house on the hill. I think that was the first school. So the story goes that in 1952, I think, about 1950, the copper mine closed down and there was nothing to support people living here. And the town just dwindled to about 50 people almost overnight. And then about 20 years later, art types, you know, potters and jewelers started to move up here and make their stuff, but they just didn't have they just didn't have any real custom. There was just not enough people coming up here. There's not enough interest, so they started the Historical Society and they started to put events on, and then they opened the museum and all that kind of stuff. So it basically attracts people because it was almost derelict for 20 years. And it was a thriving place at one point. They had hotels opening up and schools being built, and you know it was a pretty prosperous town in its heyday in the early 1900s. It's says the House of Joy, but looks more like the Dungeon of Doom. Oh look, just my kettle of fish, a load of old crap down there. Cool, that's worth a good rummage. What do you reckon, Bill? Anything decent down there? I don't know what they do here. Have a little look. Oh yeah, shame it's closed. If you lived in Jerome, you definitely have some really nice views. A lot of the buildings really need a lot of work still. It makes you wonder whether they've just, a lot of them are still being left from 50, 60 years ago. The haunted Hamburger is where we will reside. We got a pretty cool view from the haunted skeleton. What's it called? Haunted house?
The haunted Hamburger.
Oh, we've got a pretty good view from the haunted Hamburger restaurant. Our hamburgers are on their way. We're having margaritas at $2 tonight, Monday night. We picked the right night to come here.
George,
Did you wanted the Swiss cheese, didn't you? You
Yeah.
didn't care.
So this is first.
Yeah.
Here's your plate over so that you can get some mum's fries.
Do you want some?
That's what it's all about.